Welcome back to the CSC Garage. I'm Matt, and today we're going to be looking at the FT26 e-bike. We want to do some maintenance on the rear wheel, so we're going to show you how to remove it for the services. But before we get started, I need to introduce you to our e-bike resident expert, James.
Hello everybody. How you folks doing? All right, let's get started. First of all, you need a few tools to remove the rear wheel. You're going to need a big 18mm wrench for the axle nuts. You're going to need some pair of dikes or some cutters to cut the zip ties off. You're also going to need a 5mm Allen wrench to take off the brake caliper. It makes things a lot easier taking off the brake caliper. And that's pretty much what you need or you may also need a 10mm wrench to actually move the axle a little bit. Sometimes the axle tends to get lodged in the dropout, so you may have to put it at the end and just give it a little turn in case it's stuck when you loosen up the axle nuts. Yeah, and the next thing you do is you need to cut the zip ties that are holding the motor cable. Cut those right off. Unplug the motor cable. I like taking off the brake caliper. Just makes things a lot easier when you're putting the wheel back on. So I'll take it off from the adapter bolts. Just put that aside. The next step is removing the axle or loosening the axle nuts to bring down the wheel. So I usually start on the right side, 18mm wrench. You can probably also take the guard off if need be, make it a little easier for you. But in this case, we'll just do it this way. And loosen it a bit here. That's one side, and then the left side. Now that the axle nuts are loose, we can bring down the wheel. But if you find that the wheel still doesn't want to come down, even though the axle nuts are loose, you may want to take a 10mm wrench and put it on the end of the axle and just give it a little turn like this so that it can drop down. So do that. And then you have to tilt back the derailleur so that the cogs will be coming down. Here we're going to take the tire off. You need a couple of tire levers to remove it. Voila.
James, you made that look easy. Now that someone's got their rear wheel off, what are some things they could do to help provide more protection from getting flats?
Well, there's two items that work really well. We've got tire liners, Mr. Tuffy tire liners, and they go right in between the tire and tube. So if anything penetrates the tire, then hopefully this will prevent it from going into the tube. Along with this, it's kind of a good idea also, some slime The slime, what that does is if anything does penetrate the tube, the slime will seal it up. It seals up to about a good sized hole, probably about 1/8 of an inch. So it does a pretty good job. Sometimes you won't even know that you've gotten a flat, but you'll know that having a low tire, that you probably got a flat, but the slime took care of it. So it's a very good product. So these two
So double protection.
Double protection, yeah.
I like that. Why don't we show how to install those things?
Sure will. Yeah, the first thing you do when you are installing the liners is make sure you have put some air in the tube and make sure it's nice and round. Not really big, but just round. I have found too, putting in some liners is that the best way to actually put these on so they don't shift inside the tire. Usually start away from the valve, right across the valve here. You put the liner up here. And what I do is I'll take some masking, some very light masking tape. I'll just lightly put it. This way the liner doesn't shift. Every time I've tried putting in the liners without anything inside the tire, it's very frustrating because it shifts and it's never centered. So I found that this is probably one of the best ways to make sure it centers it. So now the liner is nice and straight. And that's the first part. All right, so the next step is putting the tire and tube on the rim. One thing to always remember is direction of the tire, because it's always a pain if you put everything together and the direction of the tire is not how you want it. So the direction of the tire, we're going this way, so it all goes this way. So what I'll do is I'll put the tire on first. I usually put this on my lap here. Push the tire away from me. And it falls right. The next step is finding the hole of the rim here. So you can get the valve and put it in the right spot here. So here's the hole here. Tube here, but I'm going to put it right inside here. Go back to finding the valve. The tube's in there. There it is. All right, so now the valve's in there. And as far as the tubes. Now if you can't get the last bit of tire in there, you can use your little tire levers. There you go. I just need to air it up. All right, so putting back the wheel, first thing you gotta take note of is that these these keyed washers here, there's one on each side, that they should be facing down. The reason they'll be facing down is because they're going to be right on the bottom of the dropout. Make sure they're not upward. So always down. So the wheel's kind of heavy. So here I use my leg. What you do, you want to be able to put the axle right through this chain piece here, and that's why we always end up removing it with on the small cog, so that you can just do this. You just kind of move it up. You're going to put it on that last cog that you took it off. Make sure the washer's on this side. This is where the telemeter comes in handy, because it's, yeah, I just went up. You just start with the left side to tighten down. Again, you can see the keyed washer. So I got the left side tight. Roll over on this side. You can bring down the bicycle also. It'll, with its own weight, it'll push the axle up, but since it's on a stand right now, I kind of move the wheel up because the axle's going to come up a little bit. And we'll just tighten that up. Just that's tightened. Reconnect that. There's two arrows on these motor cables. There's a little arrow right there, if you can see it. There's one right there. Connect. And then you'll zip tie these once that's connected. So we'll go around the other side. Let me check, make sure this is nice and tight. And now we can put back the caliper. There you go. Put that. That's it. Now when installing the slime, what you want to do is you want to first put the, obviously open the bottle. The slime's top cap comes with a valve remover, so what you're going to do is first put the hose on so you can be ready to attach it. You want the valve to be about this angle here. You don't want it down here or top there. About there, so that way when you put in the slime it'll run down nicely inside. So this is a valve remover. So I'll take some air out. Not all of it, just some. And then you just put in about half the bottle. You just kind of squeeze it in there. Let's check to see how much. It's kind of hard to see sometimes. There it is. That was about half. Okay. We got the valve tool in here. And now you just fill it up again.
What an awesome job, James. Now, we were fortunate today in the shop to have a workstation, to have a professional stand. Do you have any pro tips that you could give for someone who doesn't have a stand but needs to get access to their rear wheel?
Oh, for sure. If you're out there, there's something that I do when I've gotten a flat, and it works really well. Let me show you.
Okay.
One thing I do if I get a flat, and I'm not such a fan of flipping the bike over, so what I normally do is I'll find a spot, either a tree or something, for my brake lever or my grip, and I'll just kind of lean it up against there like that. So now the wheel's off the ground there. Obviously, if you have somebody, a buddy, you may not have to do this. You could probably do everything on the ground, but if you're alone, I found that this is definitely the best way to do it. And you basically just have the same thing. You just sit here, take care of the zip ties, take care of loosen up the bolts here, take the caliper off. And then after you loosen everything up, just kind of be careful how you bring it down, and the wheel come down. You know, so that's a good way. You can also, in case you needed to adjust your derailleur or anything, you can also do this way. I just so you can use the kickstand on the grip as a makeshift stand there.
Thanks for joining us once again here at the CSC Garage. And remember, if you need any tools, liners, or even slime for your e-bike, be sure to check us out at csc-ebikes.com. But most importantly, remember, enjoy the ride.